Under classical evolutionism, the last school which you have to read is German evolutionary school. This is also called Continental evolutionary school. Under German school, the two most important scholars are John Jakob Bachofen and Adolf Bastian. To begin with Bachofen, he was a Swiss lawyer and he surveyed Greek classical writings and ethnographic literature. यहाँ से उनको अपनी evolutionary scene का आइडिया मिला. इन्होंने देखा कि children were named after their mother, which is still the case in non-literal societies. From this, he came to conclusion that matriarchy preceded patriarchy. If the children were named after their mother, so the descent was probably traced through mother, which means the society was matriarchal. And this was published in his book Mother Right, published in 1861. Looking at his contribution, he gave scheme of evolution of human society. He wanted to throw light on importance of evolution of social institution using historical method, which means tracing the evolution of a particular cultural institution throughout the history. Like Morgan and McLennan, he also believed that matrilinearity preceded patrilinearity. But matriarchy was the second stage of development. So what was the first? This was the basic scheme he gave. This is very interesting. Let's see. Bachofen said that the first stage was heterism, which means sexual communism. The women were treated mere as a sex object. He traced it from the survivals of temple prostitution in which the priestesses gave themselves freely to male worshippers. And when there is promiscuity, the kinship line or descent were traced through mother. We have also read this in McLennan. With time comes the ancient woman liberation movement, in which the women revolted and got the upper hand in social affairs. This is called Amazonian assertiveness and establishment of gynocracy, in which the mother rights prevailed and female deities were worshipped. With time, women got tired and they wanted that their husband should take care of them. In the meantime, male also strove to overthrow the female reign. Before the full establishment of patriarchy, the practice of couvard emerged, in which male imitates female while giving birth. He goes to bed and behaves as if he is also giving birth and undergoing same pain as the female is experiencing. So they believe that if they practice and if they imitate what woman is doing, they can also have same power. And when the patriarchy established, the male arose to new higher principle of religion, and the highest principle of life was based on fatherhood as opposed to motherhood, in contrast to previously established gynocracy in which mother rights prevailed, and the society became patriarchal and the descent was traced through patrilineality. Now, in certain areas, Bachofen, Maine, and McLennan were on similar lines. This we will see. They interested in history of social institution by using historical method, and they examined classical writings and ethnographic literature. Or whenever it was unavailable, they used the concept of survivals to fill the gaps. Bachofen, Maine, and McLennan clearly understood law, kinship marriage, and their interrelations, and their relation with the social condition in general. They employed historical method, which means historical explanation to understand varieties of culture. All of them believed human culture had undergone progression and a cumulative growth. This was also the basic idea of most of classical evolutionists. They employed comparative method, which means the primitive cultures reflect the early conditions of mankind. This is very important. They were not strict unilinear evolutionists like L.H. Morgan. Rather, they recognized that environment and social conditions also play some role in cultural evolution. and they did not attempt to reconstruct the unequivocal stages of total cultural development like L.H. Morgan did. Instead, they focused upon separate but related phenomena like law, family, marriage, kinship. Both May and McLennan also gave their revolutionary scheme on these institutions. And the next is Adolf Bastian. This is not that much important, but he gave certain terms which will be used in other topics. About his introduction, he was a German ethnographer. He rejected both Lamarck's and Darwin's theory of evolution. Why? Because he said that no one had seen species changing into another. He founded the German Society of Anthropology. He founded the German African Society. He wrote two books, but they were never translated. Now, about his contribution. He emphasized more on similarities rather than differences. Why? Because he also believed in psychic unity of mankind. So similarities matters more. He opined that there are restricted number of basic idea common to all mankind. बेस्टियन के हिसाब से कुछ बेसिक आइडियाज हैं जो कि सबके पास कॉमन है which is called elementary thought pattern. Since ये बेसिक आइडियाज अलग अलग इन्वायरमेंट में एग्जिस्ट करते हैं फॉर एग्जांपल दिस इज अमेरिका दिस इज एशिया so because of the environmental factors they got certain specific expressions which is why they are called folk ideas. So the areas with similar folk ideas they are called geographical provinces. But उन्होंने कहा कि these provinces had not remained pure. Why? Because of diffusion and migration. This is very interesting. Unlike other classical evolutionists, he considered the role of migration as well as diffusion in the cultural process. इनका मानना था कि कल्चरल इवोल्यूशन इतना सिंपल नहीं है कि एक लाइन दे दी जाए इवोल्यूशन की और उसी के बेसिस पे इवोल्यूशन हो. Rather, it is a complex process and simple stages of development could not exist because too many different factors had intervened, like migration, diffusion, etc. Under his demerits, his writing style was confusing, obscure, and untranslatable. So, this is it for the German evolutionary school, and with this ends the classical evolutionism. Thank you very much.